Thank you, Chair Dickey. So the first item, of course, is your update from our Regional and Corporate Services Committee meeting this morning.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kinnaman. Staff talked to, Ms. Butchart from the FVRD Community Coordinator on WildSafe BC made a presentation. Directors expressed concerns regarding the ongoing issues of year-round bears and the urban-rural interface, and thank Ms. Butchart for work in educating the public on wildlife issues. Regional growth strategy update. Ms. Alexander made a report on the regional growth strategy. The inclusive nature of the public consultation and surveying was detailed. Directors questioned the changing nature of work in the FVRD and its impact on our communities. The transit services update that came from staff. Director Pranger asked about the North Side Transit Service and the date it might move forward. Director Pranger emphasized how important this service will be to our community. In the reports by directors, Director Engar made a point expressing the need to expand affordable housing in our regional district. And I believe we had a question from the public asking about the expansion of the transit system and the opportunity to purchase electric powered buses. So that's my summary outside of the regular agenda.
Excellent. So then we'll just move to approval of the agenda, addenda, and late items for each.
For motion, move Director Adamson, second Director Raymond. All in favor? Contrary, motion carries.
Item 4.1 is the draft Electoral Area Services Committee meeting minutes of October 14th, 2021.
Move Director Adamson, second Director Engar. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
5.1 is the 2021 grant and aid request for McConnell Creek Farmers Institute in Electoral Area F.
For motion. Move Director Davidson, second Director Rodriguez. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
6.1, we have development variance permit 2021-05 to increase the maximum height and area of an accessory building at 10394 Woodrose Place in Electoral Area D.
Okay, look for a motion. Move Director Adamson, second Director Raymond. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
6.2, we have the Harrison Mills Neighborhood Plan Progress Update, November 2021. It is an information item, but staff are available to answer any questions.
Good, thank you. Motion Director Rodriguez, second Director.
There's no motion required, Chair Dickey. This is just an information item.
Any questions, discussion? I noticed in the staff report that there are a number of reports that are in a draft form. Are those to be presented to us anytime soon? Or?
Perhaps I see Graham Daniluz is on the line.
Thank you, Chair Dickey. We're working with our consultants to complete those reports, and when they're complete, they'll certainly be available to you and also to the public at large.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Daniluz. I think all of the electoral area directors have already heard some feedback from the people in the community, and I'm certain that there are many concerns being registered on this plan, so it'll be interesting to see how it moves forward. Okay, we'll move on in our agenda.
Thank you, Chair Dickey. So 7.1.1 is Wildfire Season Review 2021. Again, this just is an information item, but we're happy to discuss it.
Okay.
Director Engar.
Move comment, Director Angar, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it caught my interest, and I thought it was worth sharing if anybody else missed that, but 60% of the fires in the coastal fire region were human caused. And yet it was just the reverse in the interior. 60% were natural cause and 40% other causes. So yeah, interesting. We have to do, of course, it would make sense logically. We have more people in this area, but we have to do a better job with maintaining public awareness and whatnot. Thank you.
Good. Thank you for pointing that out, Director Angar. Director Davidson, did you have a comment?
Yes, Chair. Thank you. That statistic is whether it's 40 or 60 for this area is interesting. I remember discussions earlier in the year when we were asking the provincial government to close the Crown area backcountry. One of the rationale that came back for not doing so was that the proportion of human-caused fires was considered low, and that there was actually more of a benefit for keeping the back areas open so that people could basically see what's going on and more likely to catch a wildfire before provincial resources might notice it. But the report would seem to suggest that's not really the case, that a large portion of it is being caused by humans. So as we hit further fire seasons, it's just something to keep in mind, because I can see us going right back to the province next time we get a hot summer or a long heat dome or whatever, asking them, can you please close the backcountry again? So this is going to be a valuable report for that argument, I think.
Okay, good. Thank you, Director Davidson. Go ahead, Director Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So when I'm reading this report, and thank you to Ms. College certainly for her work this summer, but also for the report. So I'm just looking for a little more explanation around, it's the paragraph about the province does not have emergency support service staff in the regional offices to support their ESS programs. And then it goes on basically saying that it seems to have just become the responsibility of, in this case, FVRD. So I'm just, is that an accurate assumption? Has that changed?
Okay.
Mr. Daniluz. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Director Dixon, for the question through the chair. The provision of emergency social services is a contentious matter amongst local governments. And at the heart of it, in my opinion, is that local governments are required to
Mr. Daniluz, Director Raymond asked if you could speak up a little. Excuse me.
Yes, I'll move a little closer as well. Thank you for letting me know. Is this volume better?
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. The delivery of ESS, emergency social services, is a contentious matter across the province amongst local governments, I'd suggest. And at the heart of it, I think, is that local governments are required by law to deliver the province's ESS program. In practice, though, the province's role in delivering emergency social services is more of a gatekeeper in approving expenses, rather than, in fact, delivering emergency social services. So we're required to deliver the province's ESS, but they really don't provide that, and it falls to local governments to deliver it, very often with the province paying, not always, but often, and the province exercising, being the gatekeeper on the funds. So it's very challenging to provide ESS services in small communities, and particularly in rural landscapes, because of the way the program's structured. And it's an ongoing challenge, and it's a problem that when we have an opportunity to continue our budget discussions, you'll see a proposal within the emergency management budget to help us address that situation.
May I have a follow-up, Mr. Chair?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Daniluz. Yes, I did see that in the budget that we didn't quite get to yet. I guess my concern is that the province is telling us to do something that it's their program. Sometimes they pay for it, but really it's coming down to these little regional district tax people to cover the increases potentially year after year. So what kind of pushback is, or what is happening to kind of go back to the province to say this is not sustainable?
There certainly is room for a more concerted, organized political response to these cost pressures. And in fact, the overall manner in which ESS services are delivered in the province, especially in smaller rural communities. There's staff, for example, raised this issue in an ongoing way when we have conversations with our provincial counterparts, and that has a limited effect. I think you saw a little bit of it some months ago when we brought forward a plan by the province to change the way that they compensate local governments for costs when there's an emergency. And we had an effect there in delaying and having the province reconsider and ultimately delay those changes. You should also know that the province is working on new emergency management legislation. And frankly, I'm concerned that the new legislation that we should expect to see next year will broaden the scope of expectations for local government emergency management and possibly ESS. I do think it's the kind of issue that deserves attention from UBCM and regional districts more broadly. And perhaps that's something we can work towards next year.
So would that be like a letter from the FVRD board or chair or something along those lines? Is that?
I think it could be. And I'd also suggest that perhaps there are other regional districts that would like to sign on to that kind of letter to raise the profile of the issue.
Okay. So this maybe is for you, Ms. Kinman. If we wish to do that, do we need a resolution or something like that here, or is it the full board?
Sure. If you'd like to make that motion, Director Dixon, you can direct staff to prepare a letter with respect to emergency social services and the increasing cost on local governments, and we can bring something back to committee for consideration.
Okay, I'd like to make that motion.
Thank you.
What she said.
Second, Director Adamson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Contrary, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Dixon. Okay, turning things back to Ms. Kinnaman.
So we're finished with 7.1.1. There's no other questions, Director Dickey, Chair Dickey?
I do not see any.
Okay, so then we'll move to 7.1.2, which is partnering to increase public safety. The Alertable app, again, it's an information item, but I know that staff are happy to answer any questions about that service.
Okay, directors, any discussion, questions?
Dixon.
Go ahead, Director Dixon.
First of all, thank you. I did get this big package in the mail that has Alertable magnets and cards and just information that I can give out to people. But in the report, there's a table and it says, in my case, Fraser Valley H 727. Is that how many people have signed up? I'm just not sure what that number represents.
Mr. Danilus, did you want to speak to that?
Yes, indeed. That number reflects the number of people who have signed up for Alertable and selected that they would like to receive alerts that pertain to Area H. So it doesn't mean that there are 727 Area H residents who have signed up, but rather 727 people who may live anywhere want to receive notifications related to Area H.
Okay, thank you.
And bear in mind that people can select to receive notifications from any number of communities. Me, for example, I've selected 11 different communities to receive notifications from.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Director Engar?
Yeah, go ahead, Director Engar.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, it's great to see the app there and it's well received in the community from those that have cell service. That's always a challenge for those that don't. But at least it's a step in the right direction, and some who do then can pass on to their neighbors. the issues at hand. The only thing I noticed with my area in particular, because there is a large dead cell area, I'm guessing this is the reason, you kind of have to choose. The only choices are Slessie Park, Bell Acres, Post Creek. And so there's big gaps in between where I'm not sure if I'm just missing something. And for instance, if I type in Chilliwack River Valley to try and choose the whole valley, there's no option there. There's no response. So where there's not an established community, that's the only way I've found to register things so far, is to choose those established communities. And even some of them like Williamsburg are not on the map. So I don't know if that's something that we can manually fix, or if it's just a state of you're just sort of in the wilderness, good luck, and which would be, we're used to that anyway. But if there's any way to sort of increase the coverage area to a general Chilliwack River Valley instead of having to pinpoint Slessie Park or Bell Acres and specifically, then that would be helpful.
Okay, thank you, Director Angar. I'm not sure if Mr. Danilus wanted to respond to that, or.
I do. Thank you, Chair Dickey. Two things. First off, the display and alertable prompts you to select Slessie, for example. I suspect that if you select Slessie, you'll receive notifications for the area generally. It's not diced so fine as to, for example, if you selected Slessie, you would still get notices that happen further this way on Chilliwack Lake Road, say in the Baker Trails area, or Baker Trail area. But I will confirm that with Alertable so you can have confidence in that. The second point I'd like to make is that Alertable doesn't require you users to have a cell phone or a cell service. You can sign up on, of course, over the internet on your home computer or at the library for that matter, and select to receive notifications by email or by phone. And so as long as you have access to a phone, you could receive notifications that way.
Well, thank you. That's very good information. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Good. Thank you, Director Angar. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll move forward with the.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So 7.2.1 is the 2022 Community Resiliency Investment Program Fire Smart Grant application. There is a motion for your consideration.
Move Director Raymond, second. Director Adamson, discussion. Okay. Everybody seems to be happy about this. All those in favor? Contrary, motion carries.
Moving down to item 9, reports by staff. I just wanted to introduce Lauren Olenek. I don't know that all of you can see Lauren. I think that Lauren is in the boardroom, possibly. But Lauren is our new Deputy Corporate Officer. She is, I think, on day 5 or maybe day 10 of I've been in isolation for too long of her new role. And Lauren comes to us from the city of Abbotsford, where she has 11 years of experience in local government. And we're just delighted to have her here. So welcome to the FVRD, Lauren.
Yeah, welcome, Lauren. I spoke with Lauren earlier this morning, and I was trying to figure out, okay, where in the structure of the staff does Lauren fit? And I'm told that Lauren is taking a position somewhat similar to what Chris Lee provided for us for so many years. So it's nice to have you on board, Lauren. Thanks again. Okay, turning to RCU. Yep.
Yep. So now we can move down to reports by electoral area directors.
Okay, so Director Angar, did you want to start off?
Thank you, Chair. Sure. Happy to. Briefly this time, I had a good meeting with the community the other night, the Residents Association, and we discussed the Fire Smart initiatives that we're going to be pushing ahead with in the spring, and they're quite keen on that and very well received. A lot of people are keen to prepare their homes more. And specifically, I told them that I took the Fire Smart 101 course, which is put out by Fire Smart Canada. It's a small 1-hour online little course you can take. Have a bit of a question and answer at the end. So it's very worthwhile. I highly recommend it. And I'm already getting positive feedback from others that are saying they'd like to take it as well. Also to hopefully facilitate the fire smart things that we're going to be introducing in the community, I've gone another step and taken the local fire smart representative course, which is a 2-day workshop in the morning. And if any of the other directors are interested in doing that, it's something that's very worthwhile. And I think we can help in the implementation of the fire smart principles in our own areas. So that's it for me. I got a phone call pressing. That's about all for now. Thanks.
Good. Thank you, Director Angar. Director Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just had our meeting with AGM with Columbia Valley Ratepayers the other night, and it went quite well. They're struggling with keeping the hall up and running because with COVID, we've had no rentals. So it's definitely a bit of a challenge, but just moving forward, there's some different ideas coming up, and we're hoping we can have a few fundraisers. I attended the Cultus Lake Community Association AGM as well, and just provided an update with them. And again, that association is just looking after trying to find ways to support the Cultus Lake community. And so that was a Zoom meeting, and that one was also good. It was well run. We're looking forward to having our paving finished up along the main road. Usually we have gravel all over our cars once the frost starts, but now we have gravel and oil all over our cars because of the paving. So we're hoping we can get that done and get our cars cleaned up a little bit before the winter. But it'll be nice to have it. It certainly is a nice project for the area. So looks like it's pretty close to being wrapped up, and that's it for me.
Good. Thank you, Director Dixon. Director Adamson.
Thank you. Let me see. Sorry, get the glasses on here. Well, yesterday I laid a wreath at the Hope Remembrance Day. It was well attended for the fact that there's COVID and it was reduced, but there was still well attended. A lot of people standing 6 feet apart throughout the park. It was nice. Okay, so that's that. Okay. Oh yeah, Halloween. Halloween at the community center in Yale was great. We had it in the backyard. We had hot dogs, hot chocolates, and fireworks, which was really exciting. But what I thought was good was we served about 20 kids, and when we counted up, 14 of them actually live in Yale. So our demographics are changing. We're not just old people anymore. We got kids, which we're excited about. Okay, and I should have mentioned this last month. I'm sorry I didn't, I forgot. But, oh, hang on. Let's wear this one to report that. Okay, the River Monsters at the meet at the end of summer there took home 8 medals, including 1 Area B swimmer, Violet Freemark. She broke the BC summer record for the 100-meter freestyle. These guys are doing fantastic. Wow. Yeah, we're very proud of them. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Director Adamson. Director Stobart.
Thank you much, Mr. Chair. Pretty quiet, nothing to report. The cows are content.
Great. Thank you, Director Stobart. Director Raymond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to, I think you're all aware that we are looking at moving our fire department into a new building, providing that the vote goes the right way. But I just wanted to thank staff for all the input and all the work they've done towards this project. Even though they hassled me at the early vote, it was all good. And again, thank you so much for all the work you've put into this, and I can only hope that it passes.
Good. Thank you, Director Raymond. And alternate Director Rod Reed.
Well, first of all, I'd like to wish Wendy, Director Bales, a speedy recovery. I think the community as a whole is looking forward to the neighborhood plan sort of resolving itself eventually. And some concerns that people have had was, I don't know if planning is aware of the large boulder that came off the cliffs on Highway 7. Is it possible to find out if those cliffs along Highway 7 along Harrison Bay have been scaled so that we don't have one of those rocks come down again? So that's just some of the concerns I've received from the community.
Good, thank you, Alternate Director Rodrigue. And that's an MOTI issue, I'm guessing, of staff. Perhaps Director Bales or Alternate Director Rodrigue could talk to staff about meeting with MOTI regarding that issue. Good, thanks again. And Director Davidson.
Like Director Stobart, pretty quiet, Chair. Nothing really to say. Thank you.
Good, thank you, Director Davidson. And things are quiet also in Popcom Bridal Falls. I just want to take this opportunity once again to wish Director Bales a speedy recovery if she's watching us on the web. And certainly we're have a lot of concerns about what we've heard over the last few days, and look forward to her returning to our committee table in the near future. Good. So with that, I'll turn things back to our CAO.
Thank you, Chair Dickey. So now it's time for a public question period for items relevant to the agenda. So I'll actually ask Jamie Van Ness to identify if we have any members of the public in the boardroom today or on the line.
Good afternoon. So I'm joining you from the boardroom, and we do not have any members of the public in person, but we do have one member of the public on the phone. I see a Bronwyn. If you have any questions that are relevant to the agenda, this is your opportunity to ask a question. So you can just hit that raise hand function if you do have a question. And I will note that we actually have Director Bales joining us by phone as well. So she is on the line. It does not appear that Bronwyn has a question relevant to the agenda, so I think we could move forward.
Good.
Excellent. So just looking for a resolution to close the meeting.
Motion, and Alternate Director Rodrigue, second Director Raymond. All in favor? Contrary? Motion carries.
Just give us a couple of minutes to set up.